It's time for WFO Radio NHRA Nitro. Here's your host, Joe Castello.
Hey, drag racing fans, Joe Castello back with you, WFO Radio NHRA podcast. We are rolling, baby. We are rolling along. It has been a great week so far, and more great interviews to come on this one. The legend, the man, Big Daddy Don Garlits. On this show, we're going to catch up with Garlits, find out what he's up to, and talk specifically about the International Drag Racing Hall of Fame inductees. A great class going into the Hall of Fame. Big Daddy years ago putting together this Hall of Fame, and now it is one of the huge events that happens around the Gator Nationals. It will be happening March 12th, that Thursday. We've got Garlits just seconds away. I am honored to be the host and the MC of the 2020 International Drag Racing Hall of Fame induction, an event that has been emceed by Bob Fry for many, many years. Bob has been trying so hard to retire from drag racing, and we just keep pulling him back in for all kinds of different events, and I am super happy to say that I will be trying my best to do as competent a job as possible in the wake of a legend, Bob Fry. Super excited. Amazing inductees, guys like Lee Beard, guys like Billy Meyer, all going in and more. We're going to speak with Garlits about everyone just seconds from now. Fans of Big Daddy, fans of drag racing, and a lot of you digital age folks that are listening to podcasts may not realize that Don Garlits is the man, perhaps the top drag racer of all time. It was certainly voted in the past. Big Daddy Don Garlits will be on this show. Now, we do have our great sponsors. I'd like to name check them real quick, talking about Frank Hawley's Drag Racing School, the Dragster Adventure, that I will be going on March 27th, the Dragster Adventure in Gainesville, Florida. You can go on it as well, or pick one of the classes that go around the country, frankhawley.com. Samtech.edu if you're a young person who wants to learn to work with your hands, become a machinist, CNC machining, programming, motorsport EFI, they can do it. Samtech.edu. Total Seal Piston Rings, the leader in ring seal technology. You're building a high-performance engine, you've got the best parts, you need Total Seal. TotalSeal.com. MagicDryUS.com, the official organic absorbent of the NHRA, Magic Dry. And Rodak'sCoffeeandGrills.com. Marvin Rodak roasts coffee fresh per your order from all around the globe. Some of the best coffee on the planet. Some of the farms that send him coffee only make 2 bags a year. Think about that. Plus hot sauces and spice rubs, outdoor grills. He is a diehard drag racer. That's Rodak, R-O-D-A-K-S, coffeeandgrills.com. Plus Drag Racing Edge magazine and the EV3 Drag Racing for your mobile device. Keep the WFO Radio NHRA podcast rolling. But I know you want to hear from Big Daddy, so let's get into it. Joining us now, the legend of legends, one of the most decorated drag racers in the history of drag racing, and frankly, some would say he is the sport of drag racing, and for years has the Passion Project curated the International Drag Racing Hall of Fame at Don Garlits Museum of Drag Racing, Mr. Big Daddy Don Garlits. Don, welcome back to WFO Radio, getting ready for the Hall of Fame. How are you?
I couldn't be better. You know, at my age, when you wake up in the morning, that's great.
You say
Most
that.
of my buddies are gone.
You know, that's got to be so terrible, Don, in that I'm middle-aged. I'm 47, so I'm now understanding what everybody told me when I was in my 20s. Like, someday you're going to realize. And I'm realizing, but then when I see someone like you who is still chasing your dreams and creating projects for yourself and doing all kinds of like activity in your 80s, it makes me feel a lot better about the prospect of getting a little older.
Well, I am an inspiration for guys younger than me, that's for sure. And the key is you got to keep working physically and mentally. I just finished my real estate license, and I'm now a registered real estate salesman in the state of Florida.
You just blew my mind with that. You're starting a new career?
I love real estate.
Oh, my goodness. I remember when you first did the Hall of Fame. Well, exactly. You're looking for a spot for all these cars that you got. I remember when the museum first got built, and the big comeback to the NHRA in the mid '80s when you guys pulled the dragster off the museum floor and you went to the U.S. Nationals and you won it. But I never realized that in addition to all the innovation in motorsport, you had your eye on some plots of land, and now you are licensed. That's incredible. Yes, I am. And it is. It's a great feeling. It's a tough test, but boy, I'll tell you, it was, I have an accounting degree from high school, but that's in the 50s when that was as good as college is now. And it was really interesting to see all this business math that you have to do all coming back to me from my high school years. Wow. As opposed to drag race math, which is a little bit different. So, okay, we're here to talk about the International Drag Racing Hall of Fame and get your opinion on a couple of things going on in the sport. We're getting ready for the Gator Nationals, which is your home event, and certainly my home event being from Florida. But you've just piqued my interest with this in that, are you going to be... You're going to have clients, like people can come to Big Daddy Don Garlits. They might not even know that you're a drag racing legend. They're just looking to get a good deal with someone who knows North Florida. Yeah, well, this was one of the reasons I did it. I have so many of my old drag racing friends up in the cold north that would like to go to the finish line warm. And I can find them a nice little place down here that's low taxes and convenient to facilities and stores and stuff, not very expensive, and get them out of that ice cold, snowy north for their final days. You've got your pitch already ironed out perfectly. I can. The phones are going to start ringing immediately. Don, I wish you great success in your new endeavor, and I agree. As a South Floridian, no state income tax, everybody, and warm weather. Don could probably go racing right now. How's it out there right now, Don? Oh, it's beautiful. It's going to be 85 today. Can you believe that? Yes, I can. Perfect weather for racing. Meanwhile, people are freezing their tails off. All right, let's shift gears. I'm sorry for being so shocked, but I love the fact that you are a genuine inspiration to so many people kind of coming down the road behind you. You can start a new career, new business, be engaged, want to do something into your mid-80s. Now, something that you did years ago was create the International Drag Racing Hall of Fame. I'm honored to be the guy when Bob Fry elected he is going to officially retire. And as you know, Don, the Bob Fry retirement landing strip was pretty long. He did a lot of work within the sport after he retired. But he had done such a great job with your Hall of Fames. For me to be able to be the next guy, even for 1 year, a tremendous honor. Let's talk about the job Bob Fry has done over the years, because he has really been one of our great media personalities and helped legitimize our sport in so many different ways. Because when Bob speaks, he is a true professional. Yes, he is. He knew so much about everybody, and he did a lot of research once he got the list of the characters, and he always inserted comical stuff in there that kept everybody just laughing. He was a true MC that was a very likable person. Exactly. And so now you got me, which is, and it's not that I'm nervous or concerned, but great shoes to fill and a room full of people I genuinely admire. I often wondered how Bob Fry was able to poke such great fun at these legendary racers and not get roughed up in the parking lot. Any tips? Well, he roughed me up a couple of times up there, when after my wife passed away, and then I had the new girlfriend and showed up, 30-some years younger than me, and he really poked fun at us for a couple of years. I finally had to tell him, "Stop, Bob." Yeah. So anyway, he was a character. He really was. We miss him. Yes. Well, we certainly will. I will do my best to make sure we don't miss him too much. And that's right.
Yeah, you're gonna do a good job, Joe. Don't even worry about it. Don't give it a second thought.
Well, I will. I will not think about it again. Let's, because I have been to the ceremony in the past and have a good idea of the atmosphere. And Don, you've created something that's very fun that people look forward to. Some of these inductions can be stuffy, and you have avoided that somehow in that the folks that get there. I think of Pat Dakin a couple of years ago. I thought of, you and Antron on stage a couple of years ago. You have always been able to pick great characters to honor people who did something genuine for the sport of NHRA drag racing, who also understand that this is a time to have fun. Reflection, looking back on a great career, but also everybody seems to have fun. How have you been able to do that?
Well, it's because I've traveled all over the world. I've been to a lot of museums. I've been to tons of banquets, and they're just mostly boring. And so we managed to the museum to start off with to keep this like a fun place. This is not a formal, stuffy place for you to look at stuff. This is where you can actually see what the guys actually did, and the girls too. And so we just let that roll over into the museum. You know, we got 30 years in that. We got 30 years into the banquet now, so we should know how to do it by now and what people like. And we don't want people falling asleep or trying to slip out to go to the bathroom in the middle of it because it's getting so boring. And we just managed to maintain that. And, when I look back on my career, the two things that really stand out is the development of the rear engine car to make it a safe vehicle for racing, and to look out there and see all those rear engine cars in all the different classes. You don't know how good that makes me feel inside, because there's been a lot of lives saved through that. And then to preserve the history of the sport, and of course going right along with that is the Hall of Fame, to honor those people who gave so much in the beginning, and there was no television, there was no nothing, just usually it was just a trophy is all you got, and they gave it their all, and these people need to be recognized.
And let's talk a little bit about this year's class, the folks that are going in, and it is a great mix of folks from the early era and folks from let's even relevant to this day, the Gasser Wars, Bones Ballou. Tell me a little bit about Robert Bones Ballou and the fact that this guy was with Big John Mazmanian, he was with Joe Pisano, he was with Stone Woods and Cook, right there at the transition, the end of Gassers into funny cars.
Yeah, he was a great pick, and I don't really have a lot to do with that. The selectors pick these people, but it was really great to see Bob get in there. I really admired him over the years because he gave such a contribution to the sport, and not a lot of people know him, outside of the inside drag racing. So it was nice for him to get on the ballot this year.
Absolutely. Lee Beard, on the other hand, there's a guy who's still relevant today, working on and off on the television broadcast on Fox Sports 1, and certainly has a relevant knowledge of nitro engines and has won multiple championships with multiple teams, 55 wins, 12 drivers. But for me, Gary Ormsby, right? Like, that was my introduction to Lee Beard as a kid, that this guy's a really smart guy. Look at all these innovations. They were rivaling, they kind of were, going Streamliner right after you were going Streamliner in the 80s.
Yeah, Lee I've known him for years and years, way back into the 70s and late 60s. He was a well-deserving, a kind of a guy. He was never really big on getting publicity and getting his name in lights, He was just kind of like almost a behind-the-scenes guy, but he was the brains behind 2 or 3 of those really good cars, and the Gary Ormsby car definitely was the one that he really shined when he tuned that car. That was I would always say that was his shining moment.
And served up a defeat to John Force in 1992 with Cruz Pedregon. That was almost a sport-defining battle in 1992 when Force, right? That's the one that Force is still most annoyed by.
Yeah, ain't that the truth?
Okay, next, Don Enriquez. He's a partner with another Hall of Famer, Gene Adams, talking about SoCal. And you had some great rivalries with the Southern California guys, of course, getting the nickname the Swamp Rat, coming out and repping the state of Florida. A little talk about the different eras, and that is the early era of drag racing.
Yeah, well, Don Enriquez, his work at Hilburn Fuel Injection was just unequaled. In fact, I think he's still with the company and going with them as they're moving. They were purchased by Holly, and I think they're moving the operation back to Ohio, and he's going with the company. That's how important he was.
Amazing, and just incredible to see this group of people and what they did for drag racing, like their careers, but also how they put their heart into something. And that brings me to my our next inductee. At 16 years old, Billy Meyer getting his funny car license, and now the Texas Motorplex is a track that started a major trend of super tracks that now has expanded beyond drag racing to other forms of motorsport, where people realize you need to have a nice facility.
Yeah, I'll never forget, he was building that thing. They were just laughing. They said, "What are you going to do with this white elephant out here in the middle of the desert?" Well, they soon found out, didn't they? I mean,
yeah.
What a facility.
Now, did you have...
Did you know that track has stainless steel cables through the concrete in tension, pulling it together, so even if a little crack forms, it still won't let it separate?
Yes, and it's amazing, that piece of work. And apparently, and I don't know exactly the amount, but there are some gaps in it so that it can expand and contract in the winter, and it expands like 6 inches or something over the length of it. How crazy is that?
I believe that, yeah.
Billy is a character beyond his innovative skills, though, right? Salesman, he knows how to talk.
Yeah, he did a really deal when he bought the IHRA. I mean, it put everybody on attention when he had that thing. Nobody knew what he was going to do with it, And he was going to give NHRA a major run for their money. But I don't know what happened. I guess he got tired of it.
But Billy Meyer, of course. Some Door Slammer guys represented as well from the Carolinas. Roy Hill enters another Hall of Fame. Still relevant to this day, helping young drivers. He's got his school. He loves the Mountain Motor Pro Stock. Do you happen to remember any of your first or early interactions with Roy Hill?
No, I just remember seeing him. But, years ago, I used one of his two-seater cars to take my daughters for rides at Bristol. 160 miles an hour ride. And that was quite a thrill. That was all possible because of Roy Hill. And that's true. He's introduced a lot of young people to drag racing, and he's another guy, a really good guy. I can't say enough about him. He's been so supportive of the Hall of Fame all these years, and it was so nice to see the selectors put him in this year.
Absolutely. And finally, the regular inductees, Larry Minor. And I remember watching the coverage, and often when you were even on the coverage, when Larry Minor's teams were setting records and at their pinnacle, and hearing incredible stats about his personal success, something out of this world, like he was the second largest or one of the largest landowners in the United States, right behind the United States government, and had built, many successful businesses. And of course, his passion was drag racing.
Yeah, and he was also the largest potato farmer at one time, too. And, of course, he did a tremendous job with sponsoring Gary Beck, and they had those two cars that he actually drove a car just like Gary drove. You couldn't tell them apart. They just had the different name on the car, and he spent a tremendous amount of money on the sport, and which made great advancements for it. And then he's been a great supporter of the Hall of Fame. Him and his wife purchased the original granite monument that's out here on the museum grounds that all of these inductees' names are inscribed on it. That monument was possible because of Sandy and Larry Minor.
I did not know that. That is incredible and greatly appreciated. Finally, the Pat Garlits Memorial Award. And I can't imagine that this isn't, the one that you just love to see every year because of Pat. And this year, It's going to Etta Glidden. Like, I can't think of a more fitting tribute.
No, Pat always just had so much respect for these women that put so much into drag racing, not necessarily racing, but just the woman behind the man, and because she knew the role that she played in the sport. And it was just so wonderful when Chrysler decided, and Mopar, I guess I should say, decided that we should put that award up, and they sponsored it for many years, and it was really great. And Etta is there's no one more deserving than Etta Glidden.
That is amazing. And, of course, the Founders Award, Don Prieto, going to get that as well at the Hall of Fame, and that is going to make a night of tributes to people who have really given a lot to the sport of drag racing.
Yeah, that Founders Award, that's Harry Hibbler that came up with that idea, and we kind of do it together every once in a while, but mostly he picks those people, and he's got a good eye for people that this is the Founders Award. It's for people who are not well known enough to probably never get into the Hall of Fame, but they definitely deserve to be honored. And so we came up with this Founders Award that we just pick a person every year that really has done a tremendous amount for the sport, but will probably never be in the Hall of Fame. And so that's the idea behind that award.
Now, the Hall of Fame induction is going on Thursday, March 12th, what we would call Hardcore Thursday of the Gator Nationals. And then, of course, Mellow Yellow Series qualifying begins Friday, Saturday, Sunday. This year's Hall of Fame is already sold out. But, Don, I think that there are a lot of people that are going to hear this over the course of the next few weeks and say to themselves, in the future, this is something I'd like to either attend or support. So I know this year is already a sellout and a great success, and I'm happy about that. But let's talk about the Hall of Fame, the museum, and how people who listen corporately or as individuals can support this endeavor and help in the future, next year, the year down the road. I know that you are going to have this wildly successful real estate career, so the money is really going to be flowing in, but maybe a little extra from people who want to support drag racing would be helpful. So how can people get behind the museum and, more specifically, this International Drag Racing Hall of Fame?
Well, we're a nonprofit organization, a 501c3, so anything that they give to the museum is tax deductible. But the main thing is we don't there's no big salaries or anything here. This is a really tight run ship. The money that comes here and everything that comes here goes into the museum. And you can see that we've grown from a 15,000 square foot building in 1982 to 65,000 square feet here. And this isn't something that's ever going to be sold or auctioned off at, a no reserve auction by the children. This is a nonprofit, and this is run by a board of directors, and which are there's some family on the board, but there's a lot of outsiders also. So it will be here for a long time to come, barring any national disasters or anything. So you can support it any way you like. You can donate money, you can donate cars, you can donate parts. We just recently had a nice donation from great Jake Coughlin Sr. He's a great supporter of the museum, and we always have projects going on that are very expensive to restoration projects, and he just recently gave a nice sum of money toward a restoration project, which we're very, very grateful for. And that's the kind of stuff that keeps us going. It's expensive to do, and the whole thing is but it's such a fun deal. I have fun here every day. I come to work here. I'm 88 years old, and I still come to work every day.
All right, let's shift gears a little bit to some of that future fun. We're going to honor the heritage of the sport coming up on Thursday the 12th at the Hall of Fame. And folks on WFO, we're going to talk about it. If you just stay, listening in the next couple of weeks, you're going to hear a whole breakdown about it. But here we are, race 3 of the season, Amalie Motor Oil NHRA Gator Nationals, 51st edition. Last year was the big 50th. I want to know about the electric dragster as well, and I guess start there. Garlits has already got a bunch of projects going on at all times. The one that I've been tracking now for several years is the electric dragster project. So, give us the overview. What's the latest, greatest?
Well, the original car, Swamp Rat 37, raised the record to 185.6, 7.25 seconds ET. That was the world record. Then it was a heavy car. It was fashioned off of a 300-mile-an-hour top fuel car. And really, we didn't need that much car because to go 200 miles an hour, you don't need all that pipe and all that weight. So we built a new car, Swamp Rat 38, which was a little bit lighter, around 700 pounds lighter going to the line. And we immediately raised the record to 189.04 in 7.23 seconds. And then we did have a little mechanical problem, and that stopped us at that that was last July. Then the car went to Holly, and it went to SEMA because Holly decided they wanted to help us because they want to get into electric drag racing. They see that as part of the future of the sport. And so they got involved. We took the car to the SEMA, where the section where it says SEMA electrified. We had a display there. And then we brought it back, and we made different repairs to the car. And Holly put on a full-blown computer, so we'll know a lot more about what we're doing. And we're all set to go now to run the car. Everything's ready to go. Now, we are going to go to Gator Nationals, and I'm hoping that we'll have the batteries in the car at that time where it can actually just drive down the strip. Now, NHRA doesn't want us to make a run, but we're going to actually demonstrate the car, just in normal driving in front of the crowd during a parade lap.
Wow,
it will be at the Gator Nationals at my trailer for everybody to take a look at.
Very exciting. So people are going to be able to go by and check out the Swamp Rat, the latest Swamp Rat, out there at the Gator Nationals. And I want to see you, complete that project. That 200-mile-per-hour run for me is a big deal, and I think it's great, and I hope it works out. And I was excited to hear that Holly was involved, and I know, your old friend Richard Hogan is very excited about it. The last time you ran at West Palm Beach, I was getting a lot of inquiries about your performances from, Bobby Lagana and Richard Hogan. What's Garlits doing? Because I had a friend there in attendance. So let's talk a little bit about that team. They were so excited last year to get your personalized tour of the museum. And I've had the opportunity to speak with Hogan, and I've mentioned it to you in the past. But, every once in a while he'll let a story fly, right, about you guys in the front seat of a cab, like a dually, towing across the country. And to think that he has gone out and been the leader of one of the most dominant top fuel teams that we have seen in history. They have been able to, win the championship back-to-back, take off the first race, just show up and win. That's really intense dominance. As you watch that play out, what are your thoughts about Hogan, the Capco team, and what they've all assembled?
Well, Hogan's a really smart young man. His dad was real smart. His dad was a dominant factor here in Florida for many years in drag racing in the beginning. But Richard's career is just incredible. He could write a book about it. He came to my shop in the 70s and says, "I want a job." And I said, "Well, the only thing we got is a cleanup boy." And he says, "Where's the broom?" And he's out there sweeping the shop and cleaning up stuff. And my crew chief quit just like the day before to leave for the big race in Dragway 42. It was an NHRA. It was the points championship. And I said, "That's fine. Richard, come up here. You're the new crew chief." And we went straight to 42 and won the race. The first time out, he won the race with us. So and when I came back then, and ran the car in 2002, Richard was right there with me, and he helped me get to that real nice 323.04 mark with the Swamp Rat 34, and I always appreciated that. That was a nice run for that car. So I'm so proud of him, and his dad has passed away, but I know he's proud of him upstairs too.
What about his character? Like, who would know better? He's a little quiet. He's a quiet guy. He encourages Bobby to be the voice of the team, to do the interviews. And Hoagie, he likes to talk kind of behind the scenes. He will tell stories. He will laugh. He will cut it up. He will have a fun time. But when the time to be serious is there, he's very serious. What are some of the character traits that he possesses that you think has enabled him to be so successful in this role? In that, is he an innovator? Does he race the situation as opposed to the conditions? And he's not like a home run hitter, I have noticed. There's a lot of times in qualifying where they don't throw down low ET of the round, but he's always learning something.
Yeah, he's very quiet and unassuming. He's just like his father. His father was like that. His father never bragged about anything, never talked about anything, but he just made really tremendous innovations back in the really early days. We're talking about the 40s and early 50s. And Hogan is a chip right off the old block, and he's just smart. There just ain't no two ways about it. He's not a braggart. He does not look for publicity. He doesn't care anything about it. He doesn't care whether he's on camera or not. He just wants that car to run good, and that's all he cares about. And he is so focused on what he does that nothing else is just everything else is blanked out, and he's on his game, what he does, and that's what makes him so successful.
So last year at the 50th, we brought in all the legends. I should say NHRA brought in all the legends. You got to participate in that Legends race, which was, it was in regular road cars with not a lot of horsepower. I know that was a little bit of a bummer of the deal. But once again, you are connected to Shirley Muldowney in a promotion that they've got going on at Gainesville. I don't know if you even are aware of it, but people who renew tickets at the race get a Don Garlits or Shirley Muldowney replica mini helmet, like a collectible thing, which is kind of cool. So I imagine you're going to get a lot of autograph requests for those helmets this year. But still a very strong draw in drag racing in 2020, 20 years into the next century. The impression that you left on this sport, this group of people, what you have done, you and Shirley with your rivalry, you with your innovation, is that something that you can wrap your head around, the adoration of so many for so long?
It is hard to wrap my head around that. I'm truly amazed at the fan base that Shirley and I have. It's incredible. But what we've stayed out in front. We haven't gone back into a shell. This museum is a big help for me. 50,000 people a year come through here, and I get to see a lot of them. And I still do tours. I still go out on the road and do tours. I didn't do many last year. I had a couple of health issues last year, but which I've got over that now. So I got a nice schedule set up for this year. And that's the thing. You just got to be out there. You can't just go back into your hideout and be a hermit. And I never wanted to do that anyway. I always like to go to work, to do my thing. And I think Shirley's like that too. So possibly, I know she's a big draw even to this day, anywhere she goes.
She is, and you are, and it's great, and we're excited because the Amalie Motor Oil NHRA Gator Nationals, the East Coast opener, it means the start of the NHRA season on the East Coast. It means warm weather is coming soon, hopefully, and it means Big Daddy Don Garlits is going to be out at the racetrack. Don, thank you so much. Once again, honored to be able to be a part of the International Drag Racing Hall of Fame induction ceremony Thursday, the 12th of March. Going to be there and have a great time and enjoy a huge moment for so many pioneers of the sport, and then transition right into qualifying Friday, Saturday, Sunday final eliminations at the Gator Nationals. Just a big deal. I would tell fans out there, and I hope that anybody who is listening now, who is going to be in the area, can make a little time before or after the Gator Nationals to stop by Ocala, Florida, and the Museum of Drag Racing. If you're coming from south to north like I do, we always drive by the museum, and that says to me we're in drag race country. We've made it. We're in drag race country. Those coming from north to south, it's only 1 hour more beyond Gainesville, not even, like 50 minutes, and a very worthwhile drive. After the Gator Nationals, you guys are open, right? Like that's a great day to go to the Gators or go to the museum, because a lot of Gator Nationals participants even kind of take a jaunt through the museum.
Yeah, Monday's a great day. Even Tuesday, we have a lot of the racers are here, and the people get to mingle with them. It's a great day. I love it.
Don, thank you for spending some time. We'll see you next week. I appreciate you coming on WFO Radio, and I'm very much looking forward to the Hall of Fame ceremony.
Thank you so much, Joe.
Thank you, Don. Big Daddy, Don Garlits, with us here on WFO Radio. I have said many, many times over the 10 years of WFO Radio that I've gone to now 40 straight Gator Nationals. And if you listen to the show every week, it might be maybe annoying to hear the same note over and over again. 40 years, 39 years, 38 years, 37 years consecutive. And it is a big, big deal for me to have this streak. And if you have a streak this long with so much effort that has gone to it, you will mention it a lot as well. Many of those 40 years, the Monday after the Gator Nationals has been spent at Don Garlits' Museum of Drag Racing. Walking through there, Don would be there, occasionally chatting with Don just as a fan. He knows the fans come in. It is a mandatory experience for you drag racing fans out there. About an hour south of Gainesville. If you've never been there, you must go. It's one of those things where you don't understand what you're missing. You've been to other museums, but this one is much different, and I highly recommend the experience. Go there either before or after, do it on Monday, that kind of deal, and enjoy it because he's got everything. It is very interactive, very well done, and I very much am honored to be a part of the Hall of Fame this year. And in years future, you want to be a sponsor, you want to be involved with it, check him out, obviously. Big Daddy. Don Garlits will be at the track. He'll have the electric dragster. It's going to be great. And thanks to Big for the invite to participate. More WFO to come. The archive is loaded. All kinds of action coming. You can subscribe on Apple Podcasts. You can subscribe on Spotify. It's on your mobile device. Just start searching around on there. You'll eventually find a way to listen to WFO Radio. The NHRA podcast rolls on. Thanks a lot, everybody.
This is WFO Radio.
I love WFO Radio.
Oh, yeah.
The views and opinions of the hosts, guests, or callers do not necessarily reflect that of the station ownership, advertisers, or agencies.
Attention adrenaline junkies, Frank Hawley's Dragster Adventure is calling you. Rides available for the 2020 season. Go to frankhawley.com. They're coming to a track near you. It makes a great gift, and you know the holidays are coming, whether it be licensing for Super Comp, Super Gas, all the way up to Top Alcohol, they can do it. But if you're a drag racing fan and you've always imagined what it might be like to drive a dragster, to accelerate 0 to 60 in 3 seconds and run 10s in the quarter mile, give them a call. 866-480-7223, frankhawley.com, the Dragster Adventure, and tell them you heard it on WFO. You're working in the shop, you've got spills, you've spilled oil, it's everywhere. What are you going to do? I know what you're going to do, but that's not the best way to do it. The best way to do it is to go to magicdryus.com and order the official organic absorbent of the National Hot Rod Association, Magic Dry. It's lighter, it absorbs more, it's better for the environment. It's made out of coconut. It's made in America. magicdryus.com. They've got spill kits that include everything you need for a regular, normal household spill, all the way up to a large industrial spill. We always say, if you've got a cat, get Cat Spot. If you've got a shop, if you've got a factory, if you've got a spill, call Magic Dry. That's magicdryus.com.
Start your education at full speed with the School of Automotive Machinists and Technology.
Accelerate your career as a high-performance engine builder with classroom instruction and practical hands-on experience in the lab, on the dyno, and at the track. In addition to the block, head, and CNC programs, SAM now offers motorsport, EFI tuning, and an Associates of Applied Science degree. And SAM is a military-friendly school, approved to train veterans and other eligible persons under the GI Bill. Start your education at full speed. Go to samtech.edu today.
We're talking gourmet coffee. We're talking hot sauces. We're talking spice rubs. We're talking everything good at RodakCoffeeandGrills.com. Marvin Rodak, been doing it since the 70s. Figured out that life is better with great coffee. And oh, he's so right. 817-924-6821. Call Marvin. He'll roast up some coffee fresh for you. Throw in some hot sauce, some spice rub, and you will be loving it. Hit him up, RodakCoffeeandGrills.com. Hey, engine builders, Total Seal piston rings are the leader in ring seal technology, and they go out of their way to help their customers and will make custom sets for any specific piston you might have. Customer service, top notch. Made in America? Absolutely. They're located in Phoenix, Arizona, and they've got everything it takes to develop the world's best piston rings. Give them a call at 800-874-2753 or go to TotalSeal.com.
Subscribe to WFO Radio on iTunes. Never miss a show. And don't forget to write a review. WFO.
This is WFO Radio.